I'm James Manship, or the Spirit of George Washington, currently in Spotsylvania County, formerly of Mount Vernon. From the life of George Washington, there may be something that can be applied to this issue of Mr. Taylor. A Harvard professor of history, Albert Bushnell Hart, said that George Washington was the best educated of the founding fathers. Better than Thomas Jefferson, John Marshall of William and Mary, better than James Madison and Aaron Burr of Princeton, and better than John Adams and Benjamin Lincoln of Harvard. Why would that be? Because of reading and listening to people. He had the access to 9 of the wisest men in the British Empire who came to see Lord Fairfax. And Lord Fairfax had a community college named for him that's now being removed. Another issue. Also, George Washington was chosen as the commanding general of the Army. And he had been retired for 15 years as a colonel of the Virginia militia. And yet it was his leadership ability that made it so we won the Revolutionary War. Let me suggest that Mr. Taylor's leadership ability is what's needed here in having a better school system in Spotsylvania County. He doesn't need to be an educator, but he may be a great educator because of his own self-learning, as Washington was. Now, I understand at the last meeting there was some discussion about taking Washington out of the education system. And I merely suggest that if you, misinformation, George Washington, as a boy, wrote thank you notes, which is something that you want to, Dear Dickie, thank you for the picture book your father got me. This was right after his father died. That's an example of courtesy and civility. That's something that would be great to teach our students. Okay, I've done a book called A Civil Air for America about the rules of civility that George Washington wrote. Okay, he then was self-taught. He didn't go to college, but he learned. And you can learn in the classroom or you can learn out of the classroom. The point is to focus on teaching our children to learn. Okay, and there's so much more. As adults, we should be reading the farewell address. It was called an address to the friends and citizens of America, not the farewell address. But I suggest to you the farewell address is not goodbye, but farewell, go forth well into the future America. Some of the things that we are facing in America today are described in the farewell address, and yet it's no longer taught in the schools. And it should be, because it will allow us to have a better school. Finally, I just say that we need to focus on giving our children great examples of what we are to become when we finish our education. Thank you. God bless you. And may America bless God. One final thing I forgot. Washington warned of innovations. I ask you to think of hand count of paper ballots equals liberty. If we don't restore that, we're going to lose our republic. God bless you. Thank you.